So we are going to talk about a project that we have, just have to work this out. Okay. A project that we started in 2009 in Lviv, which was called the Municipal Development and Rehabilitation of the Old City of Lviv. And the life in 2009 was rather different than today. There was not such a place. There was not so much life in the inner city. This project is a technical cooperation project between Ukraine and Germany and with the city of Lviv, a very close cooperation. And I will be talking with Lilya Onyshchenko, who was head of the Heritage Department, and I was from the German side, from the Technical Cooperation GIZ. So talking about Lviv in terms of heritage, there's a huge amount of buildings that have high value and are very interesting also for tourists, for renovation, restoration. But we said from the beginning that we go and focus on citizens and daily architecture. So not so much in the outside look of the city, but in the inside look of the city, talking about the daily life, about neighborhoods, about how you feel, and we heard a lot of terms in that, how you feel between each other. Coming outside of your flat, coming outside of the house into the street, that's the focus level that we were talking about in this project. Sorry. I moved here, but not there, I'm sorry. So this is the wonderful buildings of Lviv, and this is the details that we were focusing in, but not only in details, but in small scale, in a human scale. At the same time, we were taking an area-based approach along the Leipzig Charter. You might have heard from it, which is involving of citizens, co-creation with citizens, multi-sectoral approach. So we chose this area of the inner city, and with about 60,000 inhabitants as a kind of focus area to become effective. And we had three different focuses or three different areas that we would be working in. On the one hand, restoration and urban planning. On the other hand, training of people, and at the same time also institutionalizing with a basis of working with people in the public and including people, but also renewing the city.
Шановні пані і панове, я підхоплю Ірис. Дякую.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will where Iris left. Thank you. I'm really happy that we still architects left here and they want to talk about monuments. Yesterday and today we haven't really talked that much about monuments. I mean, even if you do not registered or official your cities, you still have something or something worth preserving your city. And every experience within the project will be of benefit and use. Back then, we were not as advanced. Some of the things that I will be elucidating now will not be something new for you, but we launched this project in 2009. We restored monuments. We had monuments, but we didn't really think about whatever surrounded them. We really give thought to public space. We didn't really converse with citizens, and we interacted with professionals. Even City Council, where we have multiple line departments, we have good communication. We know what different structurally doing. We didn't really know that about the perspectives of local residents, and we're grateful to GIZ and their experts for having that. I would like to start with created concept for the development of the downtown of Lviv. This is something that a uniting force plans for all the transformations that need to be translated in the city of Lviv. And it pertains to monuments, but also transportation, economy, construction, new development, but every monument can be beautifully restored. At the same time, you can have an ugly surrounding that is worthy of that monument. Might be some new development that will be in, might be poor awareness on the part of the population. Development concept was within 1 year, and it includes sustainment, development, to define some of the priority urban development in that country. Monuments are important in architecture as well, but people are always in the center, and it means that locals need to be up to speed and priorities of the local government. They need to have a vision for what the city will look like to come. So we created a platform to keep the local population. The city shop, this is something that within the GIZ project, weeks every summer, location, different space. City workshop became well recognized. We had billions in nice and sometimes locations every year. The top, we use this opportunity to from NGOs, CSOs, people, what exactly they wanted to hear, what exactly they wanted to see. City workshop was implemented in, we was hosting the European Football Championship. A ton of visitors. We organized a workshop on Rynok Square. We, as a restored an old window. We wanted to showcase that you throw them away, you should and restore them. We had multiple workshops on different topics. Quest for teenagers, cycling tour, or multiple other themes. But of course, topics and themes around monuments, onto the historic downtown of. Nowadays, we continue of annual workshops, different locations of our city. This is the logical continuation of the GIZ program. To communicate with the population, but you also need to support them. It was difficult for us, the message that people have of monuments. In historic buildings, we have people as residents and this habit of thinking that the renovate everything, that then should come and do some sweep backyard. This awareness can be shaped over time, and this is something that can be through baby steps, starting to meet people halfway. Initiated program, and the very successful. It was the one about of windows and gates. We wanted to stop the of old windows with plastic one, have a wide variety of and windows in the city of Lviv. Percent a contribution residents, 70% from municipal budget, and the funds allocated with the project. We had the same balconies, backyards, staircases. You can see co-funding ratios. Balconies, 500. This is a small amount, but really understand that balconies are property. This is not mine. If you want, you can fix it. But now we can see changes in the mindset, positive changes in the awareness. The restoration of stairs was the most complicated. Some of these staircases are bare and in really bad shape. Cost of restoration is exorbitant. Something that needs to be done anyway. So we have some of the projects on the co-funding for backyards. It has a to urbanism. This is a private one wants to have, and people we're happy to get involved in the project. It was a great opportunity for neighbors to mingle one another. They had an avid interest gentrifying their piece. The city contributed with some of the funds. City invested in the replacement of utilities, and this is the piece, all the and some other engineering now. All this was accompanied by discussions involving, because as you can see, people had to get the draft an application. We also discussed with them in detail what exactly see in their yard. So this is a showcase of cooperation between residents, the local community, architects, and the municipality. These programs are still making. As for the windows and gates restoration, I mean, we that, but from 2018-23, many more innovated. We will have other applications in the years to come. We admit once a year, and I think it's a when you see that someone gets old gate, everyone knows that you can support within this project, and we're really because this is our way and to preserving historic heritage. We can do it via babies, but it's extremely valuable. If you have a professional craftsman, it's great, but what them within the program, we had to offer and retraining courses for restorators because we really have a sufficient number of them. We had joiners, but really have professionals who were have the job of restoring these old windows and gates. This required a high level of we also some support from the Shock Foundation. Is still supporting one of our schools that train professionals in wood restoration. We conducted a panoply and workshops in open spaces, in stone restoration, landscape, blacksmiths, a lot of metal structures that blacksmiths. We still have a lot of work ahead, multiple professional hours, especially in restoration and renovation in the army. I have some good news for you. If you are interested, get some of your professionals. We will have a cultural hub in the city of Lviv. So continue our school of restoration, stone, metal, wood, and we will continue professionals for the entire country. The school will launched as of September, tentative timeline. Exactly, have we over the years, we've built trust between the local community and the local government, which is important accomplishment of our, and people now understand they can destroy, they can demolish monuments, but at the same time also preserve them. Sometimes cannot do anything because of lack of, or because of poor awareness. As you know, any is bad by default. It was a task for us to build that. Once you have the trust, the municipality is a credible and reliable partner, and then population is going to make their contribution, and they are more will take ownership of. This program was also about creating new jobs. So some of the professionals in restoration, a lot of them are registered as or private entrepreneurs in Ukraine, jobs, and we have more funds, co-funding program. This time will not suffice to accelerate a little bit. A couple of international architectural competition today is on public spaces in this are places and locations want to go. These are basically magnets, local residents and visitors. First project within the GIZ was a space into our Jewish history. The 3 synagogues space. The idea germinated in 2010, but the idea was reality in 2016. So we full years to do some thinking, discussions. It was a long-lasting proceeded project. Not only is it a public space, but it is also a space filled with the community, with the spirit of a Jewish community anymore. And you can see abandoned space before the implementation and after. Now it's a success space. It's a very appealing local of Lviv. I will be about some of the conclusions. Conclusion is that we need to person-oriented approach, revolve around people. We put people at the forefront. Professionals in restoration, city officials, some other stakeholders. Together, will we be able to make our to build trust? We should not overlook. Financial support is crucial. Restoration is possible only providing you have the right in place. We also need to best world practices, and I'll give it back to Iris to know that the GIZ would not have been possible if it for Iris and her amazing personality, because contributed a lot to some of the practicalities. That's my profuse gratitude to Iris. She will continue.
So very brief, we were reflecting a little bit a project about urban governance and about working with other cities. How did it relate into Ukraine? We only mentioned a few of our activities and focus areas. So we did leave out the trees, the green spaces topic, the Academy of integrated urban development, and many other things. But what is the approach taken up by other cities? It was this cooperation approach in my tenure Mister that in many other cities were replicated and understood as a very useful way of talking with citizens, between citizens, talking with the city administration. The mayor without cravat, I thought, is quite nice in Uzhhorod, who would talk in the morning, just be approachable. This easy level, eye level approach was important. And even in the east, Uzhhorod in the west, Nikopol in the far east, having a very difficult time now. We were doing with them an integrated urban concept and using again my tenure Mister approach to have an exchange. Further, what matters in this process today? This is a difficult question, or difficult to answer, and sorry again with the language. So I think the cooperation was a very important point about it, between neighbors, between people that wouldn't know each other, not even by eyesight, getting trust, and also the mediation between city and citizens, having kind of moderators mediating, which is something that is also important in the future. The cultural resource, the heritage as a cultural resource for multi-identity of a city, I think is a point that we touched a lot with this Jewish competition about Jewish sites, but also multi-layered in all building restoration. Then a multifunctional approach is very important, I think, in the future, to use the school, for example, as a public space, but also as a space of heritage, also as a space of learning, of course, learning about history, but learning about the future. And last but not least, the small projects that we started are a very good exercise to enlarge later or to become larger later. And I think that is an important approach also when you think about rebuilding now. And we always hear about these huge infrastructures, but really focus at the same time on small scale projects that actually are easily tangible and understandable before you go into the larger scales. Thank you.